Obviously, we're approaching the end of the international break now. City had 12 players away on international duty, and a lot of those were obviously a lot of them pulled out as well before the international break due to injury and fitness issues. So, how big of a boost then is that for Guardiola to have a lot of those sort of given that time to rest, recuperate, and prepare for some busy fixtures ahead leading up to Christmas?
Yeah, I think a lot has been made, and we've spoken quite intensely about City's injury problems over the past few weeks. It's been building to a really ugly crescendo for City, which led to four losses in a row in all competitions, and I do think that's been the primary factor behind City's run of form. There's something to be said for a break sometimes, even if it's one where some of you guys are still working, some of you, they're still playing internationally. But for the rest of them, the ones that are pulled out, they need a chance to sort of clear their head a little bit, reset, recover from any injury, spend another week or two in the sauna, like sort those muscles out and get ready. Because I think City's season, oh, you'd be silly to say City of the season's derailed because we're still absolutely fine in terms of where they are. But it's definitely hit a pretty sizable pothole. And right now, I think Guardiola probably could have done with this, the timing of this. The fixtures coming up aren't easy, and I'm sure we'll chat about that later. But there's something right now where a chance to have 2 weeks for Guardiola to sit and think, to work with the players who are hanging around, who have not gone to the international, to have some real heart to hearts with certain people and get that extra 2 weeks of training. I'd probably come up with some new ideas because quite a few players have stayed behind. You can build a pretty senior team from the players not representing City in the international break for once. And I wouldn't be surprised if City's squad after the international break looks so much different to what we saw prior. Like, a whole bunch of players, like some have obviously gone for fitness, like Kyle Walker's gone and played for fitness for England. And Rico Lewis didn't need those games, but he's got some more experience there anyway. McAtee got a bit of football. But it's people like Jack Grealish, and Diaz and Stones, these, even Phil Foden as well, these key players that just sort of need just a rest. They're tired, they're wary, and you know I'm aware that there's always a risk of players picking up injuries, but there's even the fact that there were different people doing different things. You can't help but be a positive, I think, other than switching your mind somewhere else and then coming back and do like sometimes muscle memory kicks in basically when you step back and I think that's what will happen. I think the players will go away and they'll come back and they'll feel a lot more focused. I reckon.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that this break is a big boost for City. They needed it after four defeats in a row, four away defeats in a row.
Yeah.
But soon they'll now be turning their attention back to club football and to their back. They'll be welcome a return to the Etihad where they'll play the next game on Saturday against Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. Both teams actually enter this game on the back of defeats. Of course, City, as I mentioned, lost four in a row, most recently losing 2-1 at Brighton. They've lost the last two Premier League games. Spurs, meanwhile, they surprisingly lost 2-1 at home to Ipswich Town in their last match. Um, I think inconsistency has been an issue for Spurs. They've sort of struggled. They had a great start last season to the season, right over the top near with City, but this season I think they're 10 points worse off than they were at this stage last season. Yeah, I think that's been their main issue really. For City, obviously not in the best of form, hoping to return to winning ways pretty quickly. How
Yeah.
do you see this match going? Where do you think the game maybe could be won or lost?
So immediately, as a City fan, and this probably sounds wild to anyone who it isn't, but we're inherently cynical people. And we've been unbeaten for such a long time at home, and it's Spurs. Spurs have always had this sort of hold over Manchester City for whatever reason. We tend to struggle against them, and even though we obviously beat them last year in the league on the way to the title, which felt like a big game, 1-0 away, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I don't think City fans are ever going to feel comfortable playing Spurs. Of course, they beat us a few weeks back as well in the Carabao Cup, but obviously, that was a much changed side. This game is not one that City need right now. The saving grace, of course, is at the Etihad. After four losses away, look, City have felt very far from home recently. They've been all around Europe. Uh, we've had a tough time on the road. Sometimes home comfort's a lot can be said for that. The players won't have to travel anywhere; they'll not be there. And I think Spurs, their form has been so up and down. Like I'm a fan of Postecoglou, but I can't deny that there's a lack of consistency with the team, and it's not like they're in the midst of a massive injury crisis right now. So I think he's got a lot of credit in the back from Spurs fans because they like his football. But look, two losses in a row, Galatasaray as well before that. To go from like to go to those two losses after beating, Aston Villa 4-1 at home. Like, that's really impressive. But then before that, losing 1-0 away at Palace. They're such an emotional side. Like, they're so up and down. And I do think they're the kind of team, unfortunately, that will prosper against this City side right now. It feels like City are playing teams that are very good, exposing the kind of weaknesses City have basically on the transition on the breaks. And Spurs do obviously have a lot of pace down wide. So Sutton's always had a lot of joy against us. Brennan Johnson is many things, and one of them is a good runner. He has good movement and good eye for goal. Solanke's the big guy. They don't go very direct very often, but if they do decide to do that, Solanke will have joy depending which centre backs are available for City. Recently, of course, it's been Jemai Simpson-Pusey, the young lad, so that would be a boost for him. I suspect one of Diaz or Stones will be back. We'll see, but they've got an experienced and wily front line there in Son, Johnson, Solanke, and then, of course, Kulusevski, Bentancur. So the likes of them behind him, Madison. Yeah, they're a good side. And I am nervous about this. The thing that changes it is the fact that it's at home in the Etihad. And I do think we'll see. I'm hoping the fitness levels that have caused City issues will sort of be alleviated for some of the players because I don't think City were bad against Brighton. I think they were really good for half an hour, then dropped off a little bit after that. And then the last half an hour, they were just too tired. So if the fitness level's a bit better, I think City should be okay.
Yeah, and I think it's possible this could be another high-scoring game. I mean, this exact fixture finished 3-3 at the Etihad last season.
Yep.
Kulusevski scoring a 90th minute equaliser there, and
Grealish not allowed to go through on goal. That was the one, wasn't it?
yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's shocking.
It-
Got
yeah,
away with it in the end, but
very,
I was
yeah,
furious.
exactly. Very eventful game, and it could be a similar one here. I mean, you mentioned there about City's defence; it's been vulnerable, and the uncertainty of who actually will play at centre back. And I think it's the same for Spurs as well. I think Van der Ven is set to be out injured, and Romero's a major doubt as well. So they're two main centre backs. I think Van der Ven in particular would be a big blow because
Yeah.
he's such a pacey, strong guy, and
Oh, he was shutting City down. Yeah, he's so fast.
he would be probably the one to probably keep an eye on Haaland, who's both strong and pacey as well. So to have him missing and potentially Romero too would be a big blow. Are any other key battles on the pitch do you think we could be in for in this game?
It's just in the midfield with City. It depends where De Bruyne is back with his fitness because, like, obviously he came on the pitch a couple of times recently. I don't know what the state of play is going to be with him, and obviously it'd be interesting to see what Guardiola says. A fit De Bruyne or a fitter De Bruyne at the very least makes a big difference for Manchester City. And once again, there's a lot to be said for City's defense because I mean I look at the lineup against Brighton and Vardiol was playing centre back alongside Jemai Simpson-Pusey. Vardiol's played centre back. I think that's probably the first, second time he's played for centre back for City, even though he can play there. There's a lot to like. I think just because a player can play there, if they don't play there very often, they're going to be a little bit rusty. And we had Kyle Walker, Rico Lewis at fullback. It was a very inexperienced back line together as a collective. A lot of youth in there. Rico Lewis, Vardiol, Simpson-Pusey. I know one of us got very expensive footballer, but they're all still young. And alongside a very old Kyle Walker that is going to be everything for City. And once again, the midfield, because City's issue this season has been that the midfield's overrun. And they do have energy and physicality in midfield, Spurs, and City can't keep up. So I'm hoping, if De Bruyne is available, at least there's a little bit of genius in there, if not the intensity of old. Hopefully, Phil Foden with another week's rest as well. Finds a little bit of form. Bernardo comes back hopefully in a decent condition. Kovacic, it's going to be there really because I think City are. It's down the middle weirdly. I mean, right now there's a few issues, but the centre backs and the centre back fitness with Ake, Diaz, Stones, Kanji all struggling, and then it's to the heart of the pitch basically with Gundogan not being able to track runners right now and Bentancur ran off him so easily in the previous game, and Kulusevski did the same. That he's just going to have to be better at picking out those runners.
Yeah, you mentioned Benzcore actually. He's banned for this game, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
He's
Okay.
given a 7-match ban for his racial slur towards Son a few months ago, I think it was. So this will be the first of seven, I
I
think.
did not know that even happened. So my head's in there.
So he is one that's out, and obviously I mentioned the two centre backs. One's out, I think one's a doubt. So there are players missing for Spurs as for City. So it'd be interesting to see how these line up and where the game we won and lost. I guess it's a big game for both teams. Both teams will want a reaction, a response after the losing before the international break.